Hi, everyone. Let's have a good week. Hope everyone had a good weekend. Hi, Alexander. How are you? So I came in after over the weekend. I was looking to sell the euro higher, and dollar just ended its correction here. Thought we were going to head back down to 91.40. Looks good, like we're going to just run from here. Thought I'd have a chance to sell the cable closer to, this 140 area. Still could happen. I'm still bullish a dollar, so, I asked myself, well, maybe I should try the long side up here for a rally up to there. But, that's not my thesis. If it gets up there, I'm a seller. Hello, Gorkum. Something interesting happening here in the oil, potential failing rally. Okay, it's got to turn down from here immediately. Hello, Hugo. Gorkum, how are you? So this could be a failing rally in the crude. Did it last night, took partials, and now I have BE stops over 74.90 up here. Sold it at 465, so close to BE. What's interesting to me today also is S&Ps are down 9. I don't think they're done, but look at this divergence happening here in the S&Ps. And NASDAQ has some unfinished business. Maybe it's going to take care of it today to make a new high. And, Russell's been leading it all the way, right? So what happened last week, I think, is a failing rally, while the S&Ps were making new highs for the move, and NASDAQ was making new highs for the move. It looks to me like this is a failing rally in Russell. So, it's one domino at a time. Not sure what the Dow is going to do today, but the Dow is also not hasn't made a new high yet. It's the Dow. It's about 35,000, so it's about 150 points away. So we'll see what happens with the Dow. I still am stalking tops. Very negative day in crypto. I think Bitcoin's going to 26,000. And I don't know if we're going to make new lows. If that happens in Bitcoin, it's going to be a good test for Ethereum to see if it holds this double bottom right here, this double bottom. You would think that if Bitcoin was going to take out these lows and trade down here, that we should get a new low in Ethereum. If that doesn't happen, that's a tell. Okay. Yeah, there's, I heard from someone who said, don't worry about World War III because every nation's going to be have their hands full with just maintaining peace and order in their own country. So, Cedric, I'm sorry that things are going well in South Africa. Yeah, it's a tragedy what's happening politically, and it's not just everywhere. It's not just in the U.S. It's everywhere. So I think that's about it. The VIX pulled back uh, after looking like it was going to break out up here, but I was talking about this with Steve last week. Is that maybe what we're going to get is a right shoulder? This is a left shoulder, and here's the neckline. So I think we have a nice demarcation line in the VIX up around 21 and change. That's going to take it up to 28 if we close above it. So the last two indexes to try and take care of unfinished business is NASDAQ and Dow. I'm watching it, and I'm doing okay. Hello, Paul. Okay. Okay. Apple's going to buy 2.5 billion in Bitcoin. Okay. Um, that's an interesting rumor. I think that right now, the FANG stocks have their hands full. They had a big conference, and I read Charlie's article about it, and the billionaire class wasn't real happy. And it's one word, antitrust. So I know that Biden put out that executive order, and people are just kind of laughing it off and going ahead and buying these FANG stocks. But Charlie wrote about the mood that they had in Idaho last week, and these guys are a little pissed off that they're billionaires, that thousandaire bureaucrats could, you know, put an end to their privileged empire.
I don't
Okay.
blame them.
Yeah, I know.
No, I don't blame them because I agree with them on that.
Well, I
I
said
believe the only dangerous monopolies are the monopolies that are created by governments.
okay. What a
I mean,
surprise.
there is no problem with any type of monopoly that has been created because a company manages to serve the needs of the clients at the best possible way without any intervention or a government trying to protect them from competition. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So
I'm
if a
not saying right or
monopoly,
wrong.
yeah, if
I'm
a
not.
monopoly is created naturally because there is indeed a company that can serve the needs of the clients at the best possible way, and there's nobody that can compete in prices with them, there's no problem
Yeah.
with that, if you ask me, as an economist. Now, the big problem is when governments are trying to decide winners and losers in an industry and create oligopolies or monopolies because, in essence, they legislate competition out of the market. That's the problem I have with monopolies and oligopolies.
Okay. All right.
I agree with that.
Yep.
Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning, Stel. So those are my thoughts. You guys could take over, and I'm counting on the government doing the wrong thing.
Oh, absolutely.
So anyway, I mean, I'm looking for one more high in NAS up here, and if you notice on multiple time frames, except for the daily, which is over 70, multiple time frames, NASDAQ won't confirm. 15 minutes probably won't confirm either. So I don't know, when's the last time you saw S&P's down 11 and the NASDAQ higher? So, you're getting all these, just the rotation is so vicious because people will not rotate out of equities into cash. They just keep rotating into a different sector. And looks like the last sector that they're rotating into probably Dow stocks. Maybe that'll be defensive. Dow hasn't made a new high, and NASDAQ hasn't made a new high yet. And to me, I don't know about you, Steve, but to me, this looks like it could be a failing rally in Russell. So maybe you'll take a look at that. That topped in March.
Yeah,
So
sure. For
I
the
think
time being, I don't see any
anything.
technical damage
Well, if you look
in the
at
Russell.
maybe intraday, like 4 hour, we did have a pretty good break. I'm not sure if it was a 5-wave sequence, but right now it's looking like a failing rally to me. So
Yeah,
we'll
might
see.
be the case. So, although for me, in order to see a real move lower,
You need
there
it under
is
220 close or something. You could
there is a very
go ahead.
reliable trend line support. Let me show you
Okay.
this
And
one.
by the way, Dale, you're talking about people not going into cash and just rotating into different sectors.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know that cash, unless you are very short term in cash, it's going to be eroded. The purchasing power is eroded every month. So it makes sense not to be in cash. Unless you think a huge crash is coming, then it makes perfect sense to be in cash.
Yeah, I agree 100% with Stelios. I mean, we know where inflation is, right? So one, we know where inflation is. Two, we know very, very well that there is an intention to let inflation run hotter. I mean,
Yes.
central banks are sending that message month in, month out, month in, month out for a few years now, and they've finally succeeded in actually, overhitting the not the economy, actually, the inflation situation with all this, extreme money printing that was excused through, the COVID pandemic. So I agree with Stelios. There is absolutely no reason for people to be in cash other than temporarily, right? And the combination of high inflation and FOMO, both of which are creation of monetary authorities, are pushing people in not wanting to completely leave the equity universe.
Yep.
Good
Okay.
or bad?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know
Having to
about
do
you guys.
with the Russell, Dale, that you were asking, I think that as long as we don't break below this trend line support, which currently passes from 215, there is definitely a bullish interpretation here that should be the main interpretation, because we should always respect the trend, right? The trend is undeniably higher. So as long as there is no break to this trend, we should always favor trying to interpret any formation mainly in the direction that aligns with the trend, right? So in this case, I will choose to view this as a symmetrical triangle that will more likely than not break in the direction of the trend until proven otherwise, meaning until we break below to 15.
Okay.
If you're looking for topping signs, though, I have to say that medium term, we have this wedge in the S&P. We have this wedge. We have this channel. But if you look at it on the 4-hour chart, you can also view it as a wedge in the Nasdaq. There it is. So, yeah, I still believe that at some point within the summer, we're going to get, a decent, sharp move lower in equities. Although I don't believe it's going to be long-lived. It might be, decent in volatility, and we might retrace, an okay percentage lower within a few days, but I doubt we're going to see a prolonged move lower. But these type of markets tend to, on occasion, create sharp reversals. The type of reversals that get perma bears or perma bulls, if we're talking about a prolonged downtrend, getting enthusiastic and getting caught in the wrong side of the market.
Indeed. Okay.
So, Stelio, did we have any real economic news?
Yes, a couple of things to mention, and I don't know if I'm lagging at the place where I'm now.
You're lagging just a bit, but
okay.
No real problem so far.
Okay, hopefully. Okay, so the main thing was Christine Lagarde, who spoke today. I think it was Bloomberg TV. Anyway, she said that there's going to be a change to the bank's forward guidance. Good. We don't know actually what the change is going to be, but she also said that she expects the current QE program to run at least until March 2022. And she was a little bit downbeat on the recovery. She used the words guardedly optimistic. So basically, she's a bit cautious and talked about the Delta variant being a threat, etc., etc. So,
I'm assuming another problem that monetary policy will fix.
Of course.
Like racism, climate change, and, all the other relevant to monetary policy issues.
Yes, you know it.
Yeah.
We'll fix everything.
Yes.
So that was I think the most important thing today. And otherwise, data-wise, it's been very quiet. Really, the big number is tomorrow's US CPI, and that's expected year-on-year CPI at 4.9%.
Not bad. More or less a target. Just
target.
Just 2.5 times more. It's okay.
Yeah.
These things happen on occasion.
And also, again, worth mentioning, not something that's going to move the market, but to be aware of what's happening. The G20 finance ministers met in Italy, and they are talking about this global tax agreement, which I think Janet Yellen was the kind of spearheading. And it looks like they're all agreeing, and it's all going to be on details now. But obviously, they need to pass them through parliaments and ratify them. But politicians, if they agree on something, they're going to get it done. So, again, this is something that we're seeing more and more globalization in so many ways. Well, we're seeing it in governments and central banking, and they're all moving together nowadays, which is scary, I think. But anyway,
and not coincidentally, obviously, right? Whoever believes that this is just a coincidence, or this is just the same type of interpreting the same kind of stimuli. It's just that these people are equally smart, and they comprehend things in the same way. That's why there is a unified approach. I have a bridge to sell them.
Yeah. Anyway, yes. So, and market-wise, the dollar is trying to gain some strength. It's been, Friday was a non-event for the dollar after the move on Thursday, but no, it's still trying. But the problem I have with the dollar now, and I think dollar bulls should be aware of this, is that I think we mentioned this on Friday. Sentiment and positioning is moving towards neutral now. So
which makes it easier.
Yes. So, let's see. I still think there's a chance for the dollar to go a little bit higher, but I don't think, I used to say, I think 95, 94 and a half, 95 is feasible. I don't think so now anymore in the DXY. We might get a little bit higher, but
I've started getting worried as well that we might not say it. I think these next few days are going to be crucial to see if that's the case. And I will insist, as I've been saying some time ago, the dollar's rebound could not really run long with risk on persisting.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
I think the only thing that can save this recovery in the dollar is getting that risk off leg that I've said for a few weeks that I'm expecting at some point within the summer, getting it sooner rather than later. I don't think, from what I see looking around in news and macro and even the technicals, I don't see otherwise it's going to be easy for the dollar to sustain this rally, which anyhow was never strong.
Yes. So so the dollar is trying, but I'm starting to lose faith in it, which is a shame because I wanted to bounce quite a bit higher so that I can sell it.
Yeah, same here.
Otherwise, bonds still resilient. The Bund is something I'm watching, and I hope we can get. There's a trend line, a resistance trend line going back to late 2019, which comes in at around 177, 178. If we get anywhere near there, I think that's. Let's see. Yes. So if we get anywhere near, I'm going to be all over that again. I liked I liked it the last time when I shorted it, and I'm going to like it again. So
in treasuries, interestingly, for the time being, we found a short-term high at this trend line resistance. So for the time being, treasuries, yes, have rebounded. But for the time being, I think the manner within which we've seen this rebound unfold is still well within the boundaries of a corrective, consolidation. So I still believe that there is a higher chance to see a move lower in treasuries, or alternatively a move higher in yields. Here's the yield chart.
Yes. Absolutely.
What else are you?
What else? That's a good question. Well, I'm obviously still looking at cryptos, and Bitcoin is just hugging that flag kind of support, bearish flag support. And it's, like I said before, the more time it spends there, the more probable it is that's going to go break lower. 30K is probably the level to watch. We're still around 10% away, but this
the
can move 10%
inability
in.
to produce a solid rebound after all this time is definitely not good news for the bulls. I can tell you that much.
Yes, if I was long Bitcoin now, I would be very, very worried. So
yeah, I agree 100%.
yes, and we've said so many times, we know the pain levels after that, 26,000, and well below that, I don't know, 15K. Yes, and what else? Currency-wise, I mean, there's nothing to say.
I know what you want to talk about.
What do I want to talk about? Gold and silver? No, what?
Football.
No, you know what? England played better. That's for sure. But the result is a result at the end of the day. So
yeah,
unfortunately, and there was a good chance because they were playing at home. Everything was there. Anyway, it is what it is.
I had this debate yesterday with my friend Dimitris. I told him, before the match, in my opinion, Italy is winning because of one person and one person only. The difference between having coach being Mancini or coach being Southgate.
Yes.
As simple as that. England had the fortune of starting with an early goal. In my opinion, if it was oppositely, if Italy had scored the early goal, the game would be already over because they would keep it.
Yes.
Unfortunately, when you have good players, but you have coaches like Hodgson, Southgate, etc. In my opinion, things are tough.
Yeah.
Very tough.
Anyway, it is what it is. Otherwise, like I said, for currencies, nothing really to say. Commodity currencies are retreating a little bit. Metal is the same. Nothing really to note. It's all pretty much noise at the moment. We wait for the CPI tomorrow. I mean, there's really nothing else to say.
I think CPI can easily give us some clarity tomorrow, especially if we get a number that is somewhat out of the expected, right?
Yes.
Now, the unfortunate thing with the current markets is that we live in an era that even if they tell us what kind of CPI print we get tomorrow, I wouldn't put my hand on on the Bible that I could tell you what's going to happen, because, for example, the other day we had the ECB make announcements that were, fundamentally speaking, totally bearish for the euro, and we had the euro rebound.
Yeah.
So who knows? I mean, from what we've seen recently, though, there is a chance that, again, what goes contrary to economic logic is going to happen, meaning we might get even hotter CPI, and the reaction might be a stronger dollar, just because of this belief that at some point, with CPI having exceeded now being at 2.5% the target, at some point we might get central banks moving on it.
Yes.
If the reaction remains the same as we had, a hot CPI might actually be the catalyst to produce another rebound in the dollar, which, as I said, economically makes no sense, right? It should be the exact opposite. And if that's the interpretation of the markets, then we might even see some risk off, because you know how it is. The markets, the moment they start thinking about some kind of a tapering, rate hikes or whatever, immediately they get jitters.
Yes, sir. I don't have much else to say. I don't know if we have any questions or you want to show something, but
okay, Stel. Yeah, absolutely. We can see a couple of things and read some comments. Dale, by the way, we do have a guest today, right?
Yeah, Sala's in the house.
Okay, cool, nice. So let's go through some of the questions, and then you can start your interview. And of course, in 50 minutes from now, we're going to be here for ForexAnalytix members for the morning ads. Okay, for Dale, the mess in the world is just as it appears in the Midrash. So we are already in World War III, but contrary to popular belief, the war is not between armies. Yeah, definitely not war between armies, but there are other things in the making. USD CAD breaking out of H1, meaning the 1 hour chart, down channel. While, listen, having to do with the USD CAD, and I do think that USD CAD is one of the most technically interesting dollar pairs at the moment. I can tell you that I also wrote it in the weekend analysis that USD CAD had a decision to make. Let me show you both on the daily and the 4-hour chart. Here it is. So we had this, and this is what I drew, right, from Friday. So we had a breakout through this symmetrical triangle. We had a back test of this broken trend line resistance as support, and for the time being, we are rebounding, and here it is on the on the daily chart. So as long as that's the case, as long as we hold above this broken trend line resistance, there is a chance that we're going to see a higher high. And perhaps, as I said, tomorrow's data might be the catalyst to see another leg higher in the dollar. So for the time being, the dollar has not invalidated this recovery, this little uptrend, at least not in the case of the USD CAD, right? So I think as long as we remain above there, in the short term, there is the technical reason for somebody to want to be long, right? So that's what I think, and that's what I see in the USD CAD chart. Using a flat corporate tax playing fields to force Ireland out of the EU. Hello, well. EU fines BMW, Volkswagen, $1 billion over collusion to hold back emissions improvement. Okay. Yeah, there are a lot of things happening with emissions. We've seen that, and there is a lot of malpractice there. There is no question about it. We also had the scandal with the Volkswagen Group that has been proven that they were in essence toying around with emissions. They were using different mapping in the central computer unit of the car. So when the car realized that it might be, static getting tested for emissions, the mapping was different, so emissions could show lower. But when it was actually on the street, it performed differently. It performed better, but of course had more emissions. So yeah, I mean, probably a lot of scandals around the emission issue. Interesting comments on the USD as we have strong diagonal support on the DXY plus the obvious chart pattern. So it suggests a move higher, not lower. Yeah, listen, I don't disagree with you. In what sense? As long as, let me pull the DXY chart here. So we made a little attempt to break down on Friday, but we're recovering today. So as long as we're holding, there is a chance that we're going to see something like this, right? So there is a chance. For the time being, the DXY is holding. So yeah, tomorrow's data might be the catalyst to see another leg higher, especially if tomorrow's data also produce some kind of a risk-off move, then that's going to be exacerbated, right? Because the dollar might be rallying for two different reasons. Only for the first 30 minutes, Mancini switched the formation. Yes, Mancini is the master technician. Yeah, there's no question about Mancini's ability. I mean, Southgate lost the game, can't pick stable penalty shooters, Jane said. I agree, Jane, but in my opinion, he lost the game in more ways than just not picking the right people for penalties. For example, England has better players than Italy and more players, right? It has a depth of squad. Why use only 3 substitutions instead of 6 during the game and throw the others just before penalties, right? I mean, if you want to really go for the match, you could use players like Rashford earlier in the game and they might have made the difference. So in my opinion, it was a loser attitude in general from Southgate. Did you see my comments on USD? Yes, I just read them. Record COVID number are being announced today. Many countries. Do you think if this continues, we might slide into stagnation? Your thoughts? Listen, in essence, in general, and even if we take a good case scenario that we don't end up going in lockdowns again, which I don't think it's going to happen, I think that we might get restrictions again due to COVID, but generalized lockdowns, I don't believe so. I believe this might be a catalyst for something. Do I believe that is the underlying reason? No, I believe that the economies are in any case extremely weak. and their in-life support through monetary policy and fiscal exuberance. So in any case, I don't believe there is real strength in the underlying economy. So I think there is indeed a big problem that can manifest at any given day, given the proper trigger. So that's what I believe. Recovering because UK, we're going back to lockdown soon. As I said, restrictions perhaps, generalized lockdowns, I very much doubt it. I'm not saying that I can't be wrong, but that's my belief. Especially since at least we're getting, in the
They
vast
have a
majority of
lockdown
countries.
in Australia.
Okay, yeah, the Australians and New Zealanders, they seem to be a lot more sensitive with lockdowns, right? I don't believe we're going to see it easily in Europe, though. But as I said, I can be wrong, right? It might also be a very good excuse for more stimulus, Dale, right?
Oh yeah, we could do that too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So there's that.
Yeah.
Anyhow, interview time.
Okay. Sala,
Hello, guys. How are you?
welcome back.
Hi, mate.
Welcome.
How
Right.
have you been, bro?
I'm good. It's a busy time, but I'm good, and it's a pleasure for me to be with you guys again today.
Yeah, I always look forward to having our discussions. I really enjoy your work, and just waiting for you to share your screen. Oh, okay, you're
Right.
a kindred spirit here. So
Can you see
tell
my
us what
screen?
tell us what you're seeing in the VIX.
Yeah, I
I've
was.
go ahead.
Sorry, I was listening to your summary of you guys. Really, totally agree with the things that you already mentioned. Maybe with Corona not, I think we can get a fourth lockdown as well here in Europe as well. But I can be wrong, like Volgi said as well. So we don't know. It's difficult. But going back to VIX, I think we if we look since the Corona outbreak, everybody can see we have moving back to almost normal. The VIX is tending lower and lower, but I think this is not the end. And if we go back on seasonal charts, for example, we can see that August is the worst month for stock markets, for S&P
Okay.
500, for example, and Nasdaq and Dow Jones. And if I can share my screen on the other
And
side.
look, Sala, looks like the recent action with all the wicks. I've been talking about the kind of wicks that we've been leaving in the VIX, big wicks, and it smacks of accumulation to me. And on your last chart, it looks like the recent action has filled the COVID gap. If you go back to the other chart, that's
to the
where
other chart. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I can show it again. Absolutely. And what I, as a technical, always say is what I'm looking for is I totally watch on just as an indicator on the EMA 50. If we are trending higher or above the EMA 50, then volatility can pick up. If we are down or below the EMA 50, it seems to be that we are in a kind of lower volatility environment. But if we look on the chart, this is the daily chart, just to see what kind of ping pong we did in the last months.
Yeah.
Between the EMA 50, we are unsure. So I don't think that this is the indication of volatility will still remain low or will go back to the levels of 12, for example. I doubt
because
it.
of the indecision tells you that.
Yes, exactly. And
Okay.
of course, like I wanted to show you the seasonal patterns, of course, August is really, really the worst month for stock indices. And of course, this is the month where volatility is picking up. So I can assume that we will test maybe again this bottom that we have seen in this period of July. Let me just, no.
You know, that's interesting, the seasonality, because one of the most important lows in stock market history happened in August. Do you know, you're a student of market history. Do you know what year it was?
Yes, I remember it was the second shortest year in history was 45 days, I think, by Russian turmoil, but also 2001, down 10.9%, I think. Was
Okay, the biggest important low made in August was August. Maybe we're just still in diapers. 1982, 82. And
Oh,
that was
yeah,
the beginning of the prolific bull market
you're
in
right.
August of 82.
11.5% just in August
Yeah.
1982. You are right. You are
And that
much
was a
more.
low. That was, you know, I think about 760, something like that on the Dow. So I remember it because I was short near the bottom. And then
Right.
when it started to turn, I had no idea what, you know, that was going to be a low for 40 years, but that was it. And
Yeah,
so
this
I
was
always remember August because I was the wrong way for a little while.
You're absolutely right.
You remember those, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we are traders, seasonal patterns, and this is what I want to definitely underline. I don't know. I don't blindly trade seasonal patterns. I take them into my factor model where I
Right.
look for technical patterns, for fundamental sentiment, and of course seasonal patterns. So this is not just the way how I'm trading. I mean, if I go just back to crude oil, and I will show you something also in crude oil on the chart, but I was talking, or I just told the people in April, hey guys, we are entering the seasonal best period for going long in WTI. Just from a seasonal pattern, April till June is the best period. 9% over the last 30 years. This year, 32%. Of course, we regained the momentum of the fall of last year. But I was not just going blind into this trade by saying, hey,
Right.
because it's the best period. We had the recovery of the market, recovery of the economy, vaccination, euphoria that we will go back to normal was really in a good shape. We have seen technically, we have been starting a new impulse wave that then at least broke the trading range and created new or activated new targets on the upper side for me, which was almost 76. In Germany, I had an interview where analysts from JP, from Goldman, everybody was there in May, I think. Everybody was short. Everybody said, no,
Yeah.
I don't think so. $65, this is the end for the time. And I was the only guy who has been interviewed where I was saying, guys, we will see at least 75 or maybe $80 till July. And this is not because I'm brighter or whatever. I just had this opinion because of my factor model. I could be wrong, but I would have stop losses at the lower side if we would break the trading range. So it's always about how you use your risk and money management and how you're creating your setups, of course, right?
Do you trade any VIX products when you see that, or you just use it as an indicator for maybe stock index trades?
Yeah, I use the VIX as an indicator for just stock trades, but you also know I have the Bumidi bands, and the Bumidi bands, they are using as one variable the implied volatility. So the result, the Bumidi bands are a result of taking implied volatility into my my indicator and indicate or visualize the change of implied volatility on the market. So instinctively, I use implied volatility in my bands, and we have seen that in the S&P 500 the last weeks or the last days. Actually, we have been, if we look, this is a 15-minute chart, but if we look from June, we have been in a nice upward trend. No, there was no day we have been testing the Bumidi band. So everything went smooth further in an intact confirmed trade, bullish signal. Then the last, in July, we are starting to have a ping pong here at the Bumidi bands, testing the higher band and reverting back, testing the lower band. Last week here on 8 July was the first drop where everybody maybe thought, oh, now is the correction starting. No, we pulled back the day after directly back to the levels where we have been. And here you can see the Bumidi bands, and the second standard deviation of the Bumidi band was exactly the low of 8 July of last week, and we had it higher. And you can see, back to your question, yes, implied volatility, I use it as an indicator for just looking like here, what can happen, what can we see a pickup in volatility or not. And for my daily trading, I use it as support and resistance levels for my entries and exits if I trade on an intraday basis.
Okay, well, it looks like this was the first time in that last chart that we were outside the Bermuda band all the way through.
Exactly, and this is an indication that we might see in the next days a drop or a breakout, either to the up or to the low side. Bermuda band is not telling you that without using, furthermore, like I always tell, if you don't use technical analysis or other factors, then you can't know now the prediction where it goes to. But if I think like August is the worst month, seasonally we could see a correction here, and we are creating or forming new highs. We talked about inflation. We talked about other fundamental factors that might have an impact for the next for the next month. I'm maybe just to underline again, I'm not pessimistic or really bearish. It's just what I think, a correction that is needed and maybe will come in the next couple of weeks. And this is not a correction where I would say now we are going to deep dive into levels that we have seen a year before. No, it would be just.
Let me ask you this, Sala. Someone mentioned last week, and I haven't really had a chance to talk to many people about it. You know anything about Wells Fargo pulling credit lines? Have you read anything about that?
Not yet, sorry.
Okay, it's underreported. Anyway, I heard that they were pulling credit lines, and I don't know, because I think that they can't qualify under, and they just went through stress tests, so I was surprised to hear it. And people are drawing analogies to in 08 when Washington Mutual stopped putting out, could not lend anymore, could not do any more mortgages. But Wells Fargo's out west in the western United States, I would think would be affecting a lot of businesses if they pulled in their credit lines. It's the first time I've heard about something like that. Hey guys, if you're listening, I don't know if you're listening, Steve or Stel, have you heard anything about it? Okay, they're doing other things. Anyway, thought I'd bring it up. Maybe you could check it out. I think it's, I hear a lot of things, they're not always validated, but was wondering if you heard about it. Here we go. We have a very intelligent, they are closing all unsecured lines of credit. That's a big story.
Yeah, that's actually a big story, definitely.
Can you believe that no one's even talking about it?
Yeah, I don't.
Huh? I mean, anyway, all right. Well, you have something to look. Thank you, Bryce. Okay.
Yeah, it's really important. I will take a look afterwards for that.
All right, buddy.
Being discussing.
Okay. So nice chart. So kind of the theme is VIX is fluctuating back and forth above that moving average, and we're above the band. So. Okay, so
exactly. Crude oil. I think in crude oil we will see, like we have mentioned before. I think that we're going to drop again, heading to $70. Okay. Then creating a new pullback higher. I think there's still momentum in crude. Okay. And I don't think this is the end. So.
Just a pullback, normal market correction towards 70. I know a lot of people want to buy
Right.
69 or 70. So, okay, that makes sense.
Swiss
And we
franc.
do have a failing rally today.
Yes,
Salah,
exactly. I was
right?
listening to you, and this is absolutely totally agree with you. This is a failing rally this day,
Okay.
and
Okay.
maybe possible chances for people to create new setups. Of course,
Yeah.
what I'm setting up right now is the Swiss franc and gold. Again, something that I use from combined with seasonal patterns. The best period for gold, everybody knows, standardly, a famous seasonal pattern is, of course, starting in July. And the Swiss francs, they are actually have a big correlation with gold, and especially in July, Swiss francs follows gold higher, actually. And I was looking for the Euro Swiss francs, and just looking here for in this chart, in this IG chart on a daily basis, from 1st of July, you can see this is, of course, this can be coincidence, yeah, but you can see we start to sell off. This is not something, even in seasonal patterns, if I say July, then this is a perfect example that we in July, in 1st of July, we directly start to sell off. But
yeah, and I noticed last week while Euro was making new lows before the bounce it had, U.S. dollar Swiss could not take out its prior high. I didn't look at Euro Swiss, but U.S. dollar Swiss was on a relative strength basis acting weaker than
right,
Euro.
right,
Yeah, okay.
and we see this nice trend.
Oh, yeah,
going
looks like
lower.
a descending triangle there if you put
Right,
a flat line.
right,
Yeah,
absolutely.
nice.
If I put this horizontal here, like our expert said,
You're a great guest because you're showing everything I agree with.
Okay.
I'm kidding you. It
Next
wouldn't
time I'm
matter.
gonna switch.
It wouldn't matter, you know. Then you'd be my contrarian indicator. So anyway,
but
I'm
thank you for
kidding.
this short notice, because this is a descending triangle, and we probably broke down, and
Yeah,
everybody knows we can create targets on
yeah,
descending triangles by taking the highs,
yeah.
projecting to
Plenty
the
left.
This is maybe too much, but let's see what can happen. So if we don't see a pullback, so this first pullback that we have seen here actually is nice confirmation that we might see a further down pressure to 1.08, 1.075, which are pivot support levels.
Okay.
Yeah. Dollar,
Okay.
this is something where I not agree with you, where you have seen that you're thinking that dollar might push higher in the next weeks, right?
Well, right now I thought going home last week and on Saturday, I thought I'd be buying the dollar index around 91.40. And then it came in higher. So I'm just taking a shot, selling it here, looking for 91.40 and then higher.
Okay, yeah.
And I see you have a pivot there at 91.40.
91, exactly. And I think we can see.
You hacked into my laptop, and you have all my areas now.
Exactly.
You
That's
hack.
it.
Oh, now I know where I got the ransomware. All right, go ahead,
But
buddy.
okay, that I agree with you. Of course, I can see here a pullback possibility down here to this pivot level.
Yeah.
We have also the EMA 55 here, which.
But I think we have 95, 96 in the dollar before the bear market resumes. So just my call for now.
Right.
We'll
Can
see.
happen.
Yeah, and if you don't learn how to change your mind, you won't have any change left. So, some nice looks. Are you showing us this so we know how to get a hold of you? Is that what you're doing right here?
Exactly.
Okay.
Twitter at Salabumidi. If somebody's interested, or if you have questions, you can always call me, hit me up. This is everything for free, and everybody can talk and discuss.
How do you like working for IG?
I like to work with IG because I was a client before in my study time, and I
Yeah.
loved the platform. I loved the customer service, the serious company. So
Mm-hmm.
then
Okay.
after my study, after my university degree, I started with IG, and it was for me, of course, yeah, just swapping.
You're too young to know as much as you know. You need to
Exactly.
put some gray hair in there.
I have
And
gray hairs. You could
you
just
do,
can't see
or
them. You can't see
all
them.
right,
And
all right.
this is a young picture at all.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's what you use on the dating site so
Of
that you look younger,
course.
right? Huh?
Exactly. This is what
And
it
then
is.
you show up and the woman
And
says,
everybody will wonder and say,
"Yeah,
"Guys,
who are you?"
so who are you? I'm Salah, the gray guy."
All right. Well, I really like this look that you've given us with your Bumudi bands and the VIX, and so Twitter is the best place to find you at Salah Bumudi, right?
Exactly. This is the best place to find me. And what do you think about the S&P 500? Do you think with what I said, August and volatility can pick up? So what do you think?
I think we're going to have at the minimum a 10% correction from between here. I think it could happen this week, next week. And I think that's conventional 10%. I think it's going to be more like 30 into the fall. I don't know what the catalyst is going to be.
There are a bunch of catalysts that could be. So we
Yeah,
talked about this before today.
it could be antitrust action by bureaucrats trying to break up successful companies. It could be rates bottoming out here, yields bottoming out between here and 110 and then heading sharply higher. And it could come from outside the U.S. with some kind of problem in Europe. So, and now this would be a black swan if there's a problem with more than just because I remember in '08, like I had a huge credit line with Amex, American Express, and then one day I got a letter and it was cut like 80%. My
Wow.
credit line. So they were cutting everyone's credit lines. That's unsecured credit too. So we'll see if this develops into something, and let me know what you find out about it from your research people.
Definitely, I will do.
And I really appreciate you taking time out again, Salah, to be with us. I look forward to your interviews, and I'll get a hold of you after the video is produced, and we'll set up another date for the fall.
Sure, I really appreciate to be the guest with you guys. Sorry.
So at the minimum, follow Salah on Twitter, and people could ask you questions. And do you work with people as far as their accounts in a broker setting, or you just provide research through IG?
I just provide research and coaching
Okay.
in trading.
You're a
So
coach too. Okay.
exactly.
But
There
are two. Do you know that there are two kinds of coaches? Do you know what they are?
No.
Coaches that have been fired and coaches that will be fired.
Nice. This is a good one.
That's in professional sports anyway. All right.
Perfect.
Anyway, thank you so much, my
Thank you.
trading
And
warrior
guys, follow
brother.
ForexAnalytix, of course, every day. Nice thing, nice content, nice information. Everybody help.
See how people love me? Kay is saying fire Dale. Okay. So anyway, all right. So
thank you, Dale.
thank you, Salah.
Thank you, Dale.
Thank you very much.
Have a nice
All
one.
right. All right. So that's going to be a wrap, everyone. You could join the team in about 20 minutes. You're welcome, Laura and Paul and Zaid. And you could join the team in 20 minutes for the morning edge. Make sure you shaved before you go in there because they have an edge in there. And I'll see everyone for Turnaround Tuesday tomorrow. Adios. And thanks again, Salah.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.